Imagine walking into the grocery store. You see ground beef costs $6 a pound. This price is very high. In fact, it is the highest price for ground beef in many, many years. This high cost is a big problem for many families in America. It affects almost every wallet. The price of beef is going up very fast. It is rising almost 5 times quicker than the cost of other general foods. This means a serious crisis is happening. This crisis makes it difficult for many people to afford their food bills and hits hard at home. This challenging situation is like a perfect storm. A perfect storm happens when many bad things come together at the same time. For beef, these things are about biology, economics, and corporate power. Biology means how long it takes to raise a cow from birth until it is ready for market. Economics is about how money flows and how prices are set. Corporate power refers to how a few very large companies control much of the meat industry. All these forces are working together to create the current problem. Here is a puzzling question that will guide our story. Customers are now paying record high prices for beef at the store. You might think the companies that process the meat are making a lot of money. But surprisingly, many of these companies are actually losing millions of dollars. How can this be? If people are paying so much for their meat, why are the companies in the middle of the process losing money?
This is a fundamental paradox, a strange mystery that we will explore throughout this book. The price you see on the meat package at the grocery store does not tell the whole story. That price hides a much darker reality. It hides difficult truths about where our food truly comes from. It hides big problems in how our food gets from the farm, through processing plants, and finally to your dinner table. We will look closely at what is really happening behind these unexpectedly high beef prices. The money problem. Beef prices are going up very fast. Every year, beef costs 14.7% more. This is much faster than other food, which costs only 3.1% more. Beef prices are rising almost 5 times faster than general food prices. For example, ground beef now costs around $6 for 1 pound. This is the highest price ever recorded. This situation is confusing. While shoppers pay high prices, the companies that process the beef are actually losing money. These companies, called packers, lost about $126 for every animal they processed in October 2025. This means they cannot make enough money to stay open for a long time. Ranchers who raise the cows had a short time when they made more money. In 2025, they saw their profits grow to about $900 for each cow. This was a big jump. But this good time was brief. It happened because the price for young cows rose quickly.
However, ranchers still face high costs for feed, labor, fuel, and land. Their overall profits are often low. So we have a puzzle. Shoppers pay record high prices. Ranchers had a small window of high earnings, but face rising costs. And the companies in the middle, the packers, are losing money. This shows that the normal way prices are found in the market is not working. The system is broken. This money problem is serious. The financial troubles are forcing big decisions that will affect what kind of food we eat for the next 10 years. But money is not the biggest problem. There is a biological clock ticking. Cows need a long time to grow, about 18 to 22 months from birth until they are ready for the market. A cow must also be pregnant for 9 months before a calf is born. We cannot make nature go faster, even with a lot of money. Raising beef cattle takes a very long time. It is not like raising chickens or pigs. A chicken is ready in about 5 to 6 weeks. A pig is ready in about 5 or 6 months. But a beef cow needs much longer. From the time a calf is born until it is big enough for market, About 18 to 22 months pass. This includes 9 months for the mother cow to be pregnant, and then many more months for the calf to grow strong. This long time makes beef supply unique and hard to change quickly. This long wait means that nature controls how fast we can get more beef.
In 2021 and 2022, there was a very serious drought across many parts of the country. The land became dry, and there was not enough grass or water for the cows. Ranchers faced a tough choice, called the 50-50 decision. They had to choose between keeping their cattle, hoping the drought would end, or selling them now to save money and feed. Many ranchers chose to sell their cows. This decision led to a big problem. Ranchers sold many cows, even mother cows that could have had more babies. Because of this, the number of beef cattle in the United States fell to a 64-year low by 2025. This means there are fewer cows to have new calves and fewer cows to grow for meat in the future. The smallest calf crop on record was in 2025. This makes our current beef shortage even worse. Water is also a big issue. A very important underground water source, the Ogallala Aquifer, is drying up. This water is vital for growing feed for cattle in the high plains. Less water means it becomes harder and more expensive to raise cows. Even with high beef prices, many ranchers are not keeping young female cows, called heifers, for breeding. They can sell these heifers for a good amount of money right now. Keeping a heifer to breed means waiting almost 2 more years for her to have a calf. This is a big risk for ranchers, as they do not know what prices will be like in the future. So many choose to sell the heifers instead of growing the herd.
This slow process of nature means our beef supply problem will not go away quickly. Even if the weather gets better tomorrow and things improve, the supply of beef will not increase soon. The long time it takes for cows to grow and have babies is a major choke point in the industry. It means the system is already broken for many years to come, making a quick fix impossible. 4. 4 big companies. The price of beef at the store might make you angry, but there is another big problem in the middle of the food chain. 4 large companies control most of the meat that Americans eat. These companies are Tyson Foods, JBS USA, Cargill, and National Beef Packing Company. Together, they process about 85% of all beef in the United States. This means that these 4 companies have a lot of power. They are like a very small door that all cows must pass through. Ranchers have very few other buyers for their cattle, so the big companies can decide how much they pay the ranchers. At the same time, these companies also decide how much to charge grocery stores. This squeezed both the ranchers, who got less money, and the consumers, who paid more. For many years, people have worried about this. The government started looking into these companies. The Department of Justice began investigations. They wanted to see if the companies were working together to set prices, which is against the law. This is called price fixing or collusion. In November 2025, President Donald Trump asked the Department of Justice to investigate these large meatpacking companies for potential price manipulation. These investigations led to big problems for the companies. For example, Tyson Foods and Cargill agreed to pay $87.5 million. JBS USA Food Company paid $83.5 million. These payments were to settle lawsuits. The lawsuit said that these companies worked together to control beef prices from 2014 to 2019. They made prices higher for consumers and paid ranchers less. One expert said that consumers lost about $1.9 billion because of this. These big companies set the rules. They decide how much cattle are worth and where the beef goes. Ranchers have little choice but to accept what is offered. This power helps explain why beef prices are so high. But even with these big companies in control, Another force is about to make the situation even more difficult. This force comes from far away, from other countries. Beef from abroad. The United States needs more beef than it can produce. Each year, people in the U.S. eat about 12 million tons of beef, but the country only makes about 10 million tons. This means there is a 2 million ton gap. To fill this gap, the U.S. buys beef from other countries. Brazil, Australia, Canada, and Argentina are some of the main suppliers.
Changes in trade rules can quickly affect beef prices. For example, in July 2025, the Trump administration put a large tax called a tariff on beef from Brazil. This tariff was 40%, making Brazilian beef much more expensive and cutting its imports in half. Later, in November 2025, the Trump administration lowered these tariffs by 10%. These changes show how political decisions in Washington instantly change the price of a burger. There have been other changes too. In October 2025, the Trump administration increased the amount of beef that could come from Argentina. This quota was quadrupled from 20,000 to 80,000 metric tons each year. Argentine beef mostly helps with ground beef supply, not the more expensive cuts. Another problem came in May 2025 with a ban on cattle imports from Mexico. This was because of screwworm, a flesh-eating parasite that harms livestock. Mexico usually sends about 1 million cattle to the U.S. each year. This ban took away about 855,000 head of cattle from the market, making the supply even tighter. While imports help, especially for ground beef, they do not fully solve the problem for all types of beef. Many people wonder if special labels like Product of USA can help local ranchers. Can these labels make a big difference for American farmers?
Even with foreign beef filling the gap and prices remaining high, Americans are buying more beef. This is a puzzle. Despite high costs and imports, people's demand for beef is still very strong. 6. Why we still buy. This chapter looks at why Americans keep buying beef. Even with very high prices, people still choose beef. This is called inelastic demand. It means people will buy something even if the cost goes up a lot. Beef is a special food for many families. In 2024, Americans spent more than $40 billion on fresh beef. This was over half of all the money spent on fresh meat. Even with high prices, people ate 110.1 pounds of beef per person in 2025. This is more than chicken, 102.1 pounds, or pork, 53.3 pounds. A surprising change is that more people are buying better quality beef. 20 years ago, only 2 or 3% of beef was prime quality, but by 2024, over 10% was prime. This is double what it was 10 years ago. Ranchers get better money for prime beef, so they work to make more of it. People want this higher quality, even if it costs more. Many people do not want to switch to chicken or pork. Beef is a favorite protein. For them, chicken or pork is not the same. Also, some households have more money, so they are not as worried about higher beef prices.
The price difference between beef and other meats has stayed about the same. This means beef still feels like a good choice to many buyers. This strong demand from buyers is causing big changes in the beef market. By 2030, what you find in grocery stores will look different. There will likely be more premium beef and less of the cheaper kinds. This is a permanent shift. But this strong demand faces a big problem: not enough beef to go around. Even if people want to buy, a breaking point is coming. This is when the amount of beef available simply won't be enough, no matter how much people are willing to pay. 7. Waiting for change. The waiting for lower beef prices will be long. Experts say prices will not go back to normal before the year 2027. Some think high prices will stay for many years after that. This is because of how cattle grow.
To fix the problem, ranchers need to raise more cows. This means keeping young female cows called heifers for breeding. But this takes a long time. A heifer born today will not be old enough to have her own calf until 2026 or 2027. Then her calf will not be ready for market until 2028 or even 2029. This slow biological cycle makes quick changes impossible. The United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, is trying to help. In October 2025, they announced a plan.
It includes letting ranchers use more federal lands for grazing. This helps cows find food. They also promise to help ranchers with money for predator losses and offer better insurance. These steps aim to support ranchers so they can expand their herds. The USDA also wants to make sure Product of USA labels are correct to help American ranchers. However, there are other issues. Tyson Foods, a big meat company, said they would close their plant in Lexington, Nebraska. This plant processed about 5,000 cows every day. They also cut work at a Texas plant. When a big factory like this closes, it means fewer places can process cows. This might seem like it would lower prices because there is less demand for cattle, but it can also make prices stay high. Why? Because the remaining big companies now have even more power. They control a larger part of the market, which means less competition. This can make it harder for ranchers and keep prices up for shoppers. So we are in a time of waiting. The question remains, is this just a bad period that will get better like past cycles? Or is it a big, lasting change? Will affordable beef be a thing of the past forever? 8. What comes next? This final chapter brings together everything we have learned. The beef industry is entering a new normal. This means big changes are here to stay, not just for a short time. The problems are deep and lasting. First, it takes a long time for cows to grow.
This biological fact means we cannot fix the supply shortage quickly. It takes years for herds to rebuild. Second, only 4 big companies control most of the meat processing in the United States. This gives them a lot of power over prices. Third, bad weather, like long droughts, has made it very hard for ranchers to raise enough cattle. They have been forced to sell animals, reducing future supply even more. Because of all these strong reasons, the time of cheap beef is likely finished. Prices will stay high for many years. This is not just part of a normal cycle that will quickly get better. These are permanent structural shifts in how beef is produced and sold in America. The way our food system works has truly changed. In this new normal, high-quality beef, like prime steaks, will become a luxury. Fewer people will buy it often, maybe only for special occasions. Regular ground beef will still be available, but much of it will come from other countries. We will rely more on imports from places like Brazil and Argentina to fill our grocery store shelves. So who will benefit and who will struggle? Large ranchers who own a lot of land and have money to invest might find ways to adapt and even grow. The big meat processing companies will also likely get back to making good profits once the supply chain settles, as they control much of the market. However, many small ranchers will find it very hard to keep their businesses going.
They might have to sell their farms or stop raising cattle completely. For everyday shoppers, especially families on a budget, it means paying much more for beef or buying it much less often. Eating beef will become a different experience for many American families. This crisis has truly changed our food system. It shows how many complex things affect what we eat. What do you think about these big changes for beef? How will it change what you buy at the store for your family?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.